Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're diving into some profound lessons that can really change the way we see our lives and our faith. You know, it's fascinating how Jesus performed so many signs and wonders, not just as miracles, but as evidence of his divine mission. Think about it. These works were meant to reveal his identity as the Messiah and to show his unity with God the Father. But despite these clear signs, many people, including religious leaders, chose not to believe. It's like they had blinders on. This teaches us the importance of being open to recognizing God's work in our lives today. Are we truly seeing and acknowledging the signs of God's presence and action around us? Or are we letting doubts and preconceived notions blind us?
Wow, that's really interesting. So, when you say signs, do you mean, actual miracles? Or are we talking about, more subtle things? I mean, I've had moments where I felt like something was guiding me, but I wasn't sure if it was, divine or just my imagination, you know?
Absolutely. Great question. When I say signs, I'm referring to both the miraculous events and those subtle nudges we feel in our hearts. For instance, think about a time when you were in a tough spot and suddenly a friend reached out just when you needed it. That could be a sign of God's presence in your life. It's about being aware and open to those moments.
That makes sense. So, are you saying that we should be looking for these signs actively? I mean, what if we miss them? It's kind of like when you're trying to find a four-leaf clover in a field of grass, what? If you just walk right past it.
Exactly. That's a perfect analogy. Just like searching for that elusive four-leaf clover, we need to be intentional about looking for God's signs. It's about cultivating a mindset that is open and receptive. And speaking of relationships, this brings us to our next lesson. Understanding the relationship between Jesus and God the Father. This relationship is central to understanding his mission. Jesus emphasized that his works were not done in isolation, but were a direct extension of the Father's will.
Oh, wow. So, it's all connected? I mean, I've always thought of Jesus as this separate figure, but you're saying he's, directly linked to God? That's mind-blowing.
Yes, it's a beautiful connection. Jesus shows us that our faith should be rooted in a deep, personal relationship with God. Just like any relationship, it requires communication and understanding. We're invited to reflect on our own relationship with God and consider how it influences our actions and beliefs. Are we aligned with God's will? Do we see his hand in our lives?
That's really deep. So, if I'm not feeling that connection, does that mean I'm doing something wrong? I mean, I've had times where I felt super distant, when you're in a long-distance relationship and it's just hard to connect, you know?
That's a great analogy. It's normal to feel distant at times, but it's important to actively seek that connection. Just like in a long-distance relationship, you have to put in the effort to communicate and stay connected. And this leads us to our final lesson, guarding against hard hearts. Despite the evidence of Jesus' works and the fulfillment of prophecies, many still rejected him.
Wow. That's kind of scary. So, how do we guard against that? I mean, it's easy to get stuck in our ways, right? It's like when you're so used to a certain routine that you just can't see any other way of doing things.
Exactly. It's crucial to remain vigilant against developing a hardened heart. We must be open to God's leading and willing to accept his truth, even when it challenges our current understanding or comfort zones. Let's strive to be receptive to God's voice and work in our lives, ensuring that we do not repeat the mistakes of those who failed to recognize Jesus as the Messiah.
I love that. It's like being open to change and growth, right? I mean, I've had moments where I was super resistant to change, and then I realized it was holding me back.
Exactly. Embracing change is essential for growth, both in our faith and in our lives. So, let's keep our hearts soft and our minds open to the signs and relationships that can transform us.
Yeah. It's like when you finally decide to try a new food after years of eating the same thing, sometimes it's just what you need to spice things up.
Absolutely. Just like trying new foods can open up a world of flavors, being open to God's signs can lead us to a richer, more fulfilling life. It's all about being receptive and willing to explore.
I love that. It's like every day is a chance to discover something new, right? I mean, who knows what amazing things are waiting for us if we just keep our eyes open.